The oil and gas industry is promoting fracking as the way of the future, as a way to remove vast quantities of natural gas and quote-unquote help provide American energy independence. Do you support fracking in Virginia, and if so, where? What about the George Washington National Forest?
I don't support fracking, and I'll tell you why. For two reasons. A, it's very debilitating and costly, and it takes your eye off the prize of finding alternative, cheaper, healthier, cleaner sources of energy. The problem with diminishing returns is that as you go down that route, things become more expensive, maybe not in dollar cost, but in real cost, and the return, it's just not worth it. And it does so much damage, so that's why I'm absolutely opposed to it.
And we don't know its effects yet. We really don't. It does take our eye off the ball. The game here is to reduce, always reduce, rather than increase our dependence on fossil fuels. Whatever policy Virginia adopts in response to the EPA's recent rule regulations, they need to be focused like a laser on alternatives. Fracking and other such extraction methods take our focus off of the future.
Thank you. Another question that I think would have been great in the lightning round, but no, I definitely do not support fracking. As I mentioned earlier, as far as energy, I support green energy, I support higher gas taxes, support carbon tax, both of which must be implemented humanely by providing better public transportation and appropriate benefits for low income.
I also do not support fracking. I believe that we have to find renewable sources and we have to reduce our use before we pursue options that will destroy our environment. If we look to the future of fracking 20 years from now, we do not know what that looks like. We don't know the impact of the processes, long-term or even relatively short-term. So I think for that reason, we should not support fracking and pursue more renewable and, as I said, R&D of new sources of energy.
I grew up in a town that had a huge international paper mill outside of it, and it brought a lot of jobs. It also brought a terrible odor to the town when the wind was blowing. And that odor became sort of the signature of that town. People referred to it by that. They had the IP mill was there. And it really damaged sort of the psyche of the people there. And that would be one of my concerns about fracking, and how it would damage that community and the reputation of that community. So I'd be very skeptical of it.
I don't support fracking, and I don't support fracking in the George Washington National Forest. You can see across the country, if you look at Oklahoma, there's been a marked increase in earthquakes, and there's a lot of speculation. I mean, it has been proven, but it's potentially that the fracking that's occurring there is causing these earthquakes. So it's a short-term solution to, and a short-sighted solution to our vital energy needs.
No, I do not support fracking. I don't support fracking in the George Washington National Forest either. I do believe it destroys our Earth's surface, our Earth underneath. It causes long-term damage, and there are just definitely cheaper ways to get renewable energy. You know, I think many of us remember a year when Virginia had an earthquake not too long ago, which is something that doesn't ever happen. My mother was closest to the epicenter and not too far away from an area that does fracking at all. So there's definitely questionable long-term damage to what it can do for us. We need to look at other ways to find energy.